Right, back again. So, a bit of wind in the face this morning. Just gonna wade out a bit. So I've got to use this Savage gear just to get it out there a bit. Lots of bigger waves. So if I can just see the, as far as I can wade out there, quite a bit like that. Can I see the lure? There it is. That's fine. Drag set okay. And that's a little bit high. That snaggy there, so I've just got to watch it. Good conditions. Wind it a bit quicker in this over this sand. Just look and see if I can see it. There it is. So it's effective when it's. Can't see anything darting behind it. Okay. There's no weed there. No weed. So we're just whacking it too hard to protect the gear a bit. Nice and clear. So we're at the back end of the big tides. Pursuing it. I've got this other pattern Savage gear which is very worn. I'm just starting to wonder if that's a slightly better pattern to have because it's clear, but I do believe that when they, so I'm keeping the rod tip high there because that's gone over a load of sort of rock and stuff. If that hit the bottom, that's gone. So I've only got 8 pound leader on here. Concerned that we'd missed the best bit of the tide, but I'd say we're just about right really. Metal spinner would do here too. I've got an Abu Toby 20 grams, just this wind in my face. I'm just right now at this where we're casting to. I just need a little bit extra winding quick there. Winding quick. Braid. So if I had a metal ticer on over this sand, you got a chance of something else. You might get a sort of a turbot or a flounder might grab it or something. There's nothing behind it. But we're sort of lob it up high there. Just quickly over that chalk out there. So what we'll do, we'll gradually, as the tide sort of ebbs away, we'll change gear right now because I'm at range. I'm just going to keep this sand eel on. Just a straight retrieve does it, but you can see clearly that by pausing the retrieve and letting it flutter back down, it behaves all erratically and lovely. There's no bass behind it. With this kind of fishing, you're almost sort of putting it in a bass's path, and he can't resist it. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like it's coming towards him. He's looking straight at it, and he goes, "There's my sand eel," bang. You know, it's nothing more than that really. Sometimes I get the impression they might just sort of chase after. There's a little bit of weed out there, so I'm expecting. There's a lot of sand just in this bit. Can't see anything following it, so these waders are handy. What I've got on down here, look. I'm starting to wish I had some slightly different colour sand eels than this white one. This clear. So I'm really risking it by putting it over there, because that's very snaggy. But see, with there's been a lot of tide and the water being so cold, the fish, the bass, they are actually. Oh, I thought that was a fish. Couldn't have been. Could have been. I thought that was a fish. It didn't turn into anything. Might have just snagged on a rock or something. Usually see a little bit of. See, with these hooks, that might have just snagged on something. So it's just clear. You need a bit of luck, like no other people in the water and dogs in the water and stuff like that. But... oh, there you go. There's those little sand eel things. It's so shallow, it probably just did catch on the bottom there on something. So we'll keep a fairly fast retrieve. It's on the surface there, that's alright. That's alright. It says. Can't remember what I was talking about. That's it, you've got to watch it when you're fishing right at range. They go right over the snags. I think there might be a fish there. Like I say, if we lose it, we lose it. Well, at low tide, I bet I'd pick it up anyway. So there's no need for me to worry too much. If I just snap it off. I've gone down a little deep hole here. Sometimes you'll see a big shadow behind it if there's a. You can just see I'm just pause and retrieve. It's almost as just effective. Just you can see the Savage gear, how effective it is when you drop it down. Look, the old sand eel. Like I say, if we lose it, it don't matter because I can pick it up at low tide. It's big tide, you see. I've got another one, so I just want to quickly wind there. You have to wind like hell when you're a bit shallower here. I can come over. Change over to a slightly more silvery lure. The Abu 20 is just that. I've got this wind in the face. I won't be able to get that sort of distance with it. It's pretty crude sort of fishing, but you can just a straight retrieve if they're there. Bang. I'll keep off the bottom. Like I say, I can probably get to it. Low tide anyway. There yet. Just casting at this bit here. Clear again. Sorry. Sorry mate, I really don't. I'm going to put on a different lure, I think. Something's telling me to put on a different lure. Toby. The subtleness of the Abu Toby. bit clumsy, I would say. Really, the salvage gear seep, you want a little bit murky, you want a little bit of swash there with that. But when it's crystal clear, it all goes down to sort of finesse, but because of the tide, we're sort of, what's the word? I don't want to drop this because I'm bloody nightmare trying to. A little swivel through there, like that, and that's it. No knot. That's it, we're there. Might be more. Oh, right, something there. £8 line catches around absolutely everything. There. Right, big waves, so I can wade out a little bit more. On the shallow part, see the tide coming through here. See a bass, because it's, I think what I was trying to touch on here, there's some small fish here, look, small little bait fish here. I don't want to get, it's inevitable we're going to get wet. We normally do, but what I'm going to do is just whack that out there like that. Yeah, that's perfect. Give it a little bit of a zip. I think this is a lot better balance. A lot better balance. I'm probably risking it a little bit just having £8 line as the rubbing leader, and it's 12 months old. Because if a bass does engulf it, and his abrasive teeth will probably screw it. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm feeling a lot more confident with this lure. Bit of tide there. You can almost use a little carp controller and some flies, just drifting it ever so slowly. But I just feel I'm going to try the spinner first. Keep an eye on where we are. Yeah, cold water, lethargic bass, big tides. So it'd be quite common for the bass to seek the passage of least tide resistance. So where is that? That's tight to the shore. So he's going to hug the shore. So at some stage, you wouldn't be surprised if you saw a shoal of them come through here. Because the food is there. There's a lot of dabs about and flatfish and things like that. So that's working lovely, that is. Just looking for any shadows, just sort of following behind it in the sand there. But it's all looking very fishy to me. It's all looking quite fishy. Spinners working away. With a metal spinner like this, if you run it slow to the shore, see, I'm just being cheeky with it now, just sort of, but I'm actually getting in some good spots. I got these other day with Chinook 14 grams. It's just a question of whether there's one there or not, and he wants to play ball. I've got this other gear I've got a carp controller, a bead, and a little let's just try up a bit. And I've got some little flies and things, sand eel flies. Very shallow here. But I honest to God, the fish are there, but there's not a lot of fish about. So it's quite hard. It's quite hard. So in theory, one would suggest it's better to wait till the water warms up a little bit before you concentrate your efforts a little bit more, and be easier to get them off the beach just with bait and stuff like that. But the reason why I'm doing this end of April is because it's very unusual for the sea to come this clear. And I know they're here, and they're usually quite good fish. But you just need a bit of luck, really. I'm just debating whether it's better to cast out some of these flies and things and let it drift more subtly. It's a job to know, isn't it? It's a job to know. It's this patch of ground where you get one, just right in front of us here. There's nothing there yet. There's a little bit more ripple on the surface. No dark shadows there. Dark shadows. Yeah, so I think the food he's looking for is hardbacks and things like that, and small little flounders and dabs and things like that. I think that's his diet at the minute, because there's no sand eels there. There'll be a small amount of hardbacks down there. So for me, I mean, I've caught fish in October, and they've had little flatfish inside, small flatfish. There's quite a lot out there, but they've got a lot of time, a lot of daylight hours, if you think about it now, haven't they, to feed. But when there's a lot of tide like this, they're going to come in close, because there's more tide out there at sea. The further out you go, there's more tide. So they're going to get a point. They're going to come in here for a bit of see what food's about, and also have a bit, not burn up too much energy while they're eating. So that's why they're coming in. So I'm giving it a few chucks here. See, the thing is, it's like you've got. Just looking to see any shadows with that chalk. That's the good thing about this Abu Toby. You know, you're constantly casting it and retrieving it, you're sort of searching it. If one turns up, I've seen bass come against the current. See, the current's going this way. I shouldn't stop winding there, because I'll just go in the bottom. The current's going this way. I've seen bass swim up against the current. So they're not all just like coming down with the current or anything like that, having a cruise coming down. They're slowly, they're on the inside, close to the bank, either resting or just sort of, you know, looking for those areas. I mean, I could go to a popper, but I think at the minute, right, I'm going to try something completely different. I might try this carp controller thing. Just let it drift. The trouble is, I'll put it on and I wish I've got the other thing on. I'll just stick with this. There at the minute. This is where you could do with another rod, sort of on the bank, in a rod rest, already rigged up with a slightly different bit of kit. The two anglers sort of fishing two slightly different techniques, just looking for a shadow or something. You should see it. There's nothing there yet. There's no small bass or nothing. I'm just whacking it out, that's all I can do really. Good stuff. It's looking good, I must admit. I'm going to save the battery in a minute. This next one. So let's try something different now. It's just getting a bit shallower. It's clear. Seeing they've got a little crab, fly crab there, and above it I've got a shrimp. So I'm just wondering if they're, because the water's still quite cold, that they're not sort of going crazy for a spinner, and they might just take some sort of a fly. And because there's no sand eels about, I can't really put a sand eel fly on. Just see if, you never know, if a bass inspects it and sort of is inquisitive, you never know, you might just whoop it down. That's £10 leader as well, so he can woof that down, no problem. We'll still be alright. Predator leader there, £10 predator leader, so. You never know. That's just drifting with what current we've got, tide we've got left over these flats. The crab lure is actually weighted, so it's sort of, it's judging how deep. It's very shallow out there as well, so it's just, you know, nothing to lose anyway. There's just not a lot of fish about. It's very clear, and it strikes us. Really want to sort of try somewhere else tonight. The trouble with early bassing, it's like it never really comes this clear. This so early in the season, but I'm not grumbling. But you're now combating different difficulties. See, really, I mean, with the braid still, with a bass grabbing, say, the shrimp or the crab, you would feel the bite. You know, so you don't need to keep looking at the float. Has the float gone under or not? Don't need to worry about it. You're on a rod like this and on that braid, you'll feel a fish. So I'm just winding it a little bit, see if it's not tangled. That's right. So you can wind it a little bit and then just let it drift round. So that the shrimp and the crab, just like, they're probably just so shallow out there, they're probably just like touching the bottom. So if you have it too long, it might just catch, you see. This is a clear float, but I'm not sure that'll spook the bass too much. So what we'll do, we'll chuck it up over here and we'll start drifting it around there. That's it. We'll just quickly wind this in here. Got a bit of a tangle there around the top of the float, which is a concern. Well, it is and it isn't. Really probably wanted that a bit lower down, really, but that's just a bit of added extra attraction. So now I've got to bang into the wind. So it's shallower here now, so I can tread on this, he says. He disappears down a really great hole. And I'm just gonna try that. Good, because you can just see it floating there, look, at the back there. So what you're relying on a bass just cruising past and seeing it and think, what the hell is this? And then he makes a call, he makes a judgment call. Do I want to have a nibble or should I leave it? Chances are he probably will have a little nibble. It's quite cold still actually, that wind, that easterly wind. Sand. Yeah, there's no need to look at your float all the time. Just wind it a little bit to stay in touch with it. So it's just drifting over that patch there. Now I'll put the spinner over there. They're not grabbing a spinner, so it's likely that there's no fish there. So we're waiting for something to happen. So all I can do is just sort of carefully let it drift. Let it drift. In these cold conditions. The water's probably about 10 degrees, I would say. So that is early. But they're there. There's a food fish there anyway. Like I say, it's probably worth just waiting until the water temperature picks up, but you won't be able to do, not this part of the coast, do this kind of fishing where you can see the bottom. Usually it's murky as hell, but it's, yeah, it's got some little bait fish there, look, in close. So that's bass food. That's bass food there. Do 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 do. Got some other things to try. I've got some sand eel flies to try. I'm just gonna see how this is behaving if I just cast it just close in front of me. It's not tangled too bad actually. To see how this behaves. If I just do this, there goes on. There's the float. There's a bead. There's a bead down there as well. So I wind. That's it. So I wind it like that. Can't really see. Yes, weighted. I think we stick with this. Stick with this. Lose. Drift crab. Feels very hit and miss, this does right now. It's so clear and cold, it's like, oh, and there's not a lot of fish about, and it's shallow. It sort of points towards of doom, really. Let's just help that along a bit. Yeah. very tide's still ebbing away. I'm just trying to think what else I can try. Little, sometimes it tangles, which is not good. Nice lures though. Nice to try. Trying a creature crawl. You could argue this is doing the same sort of thing, really. Let's say. I'll just tie on another one. Try something a little bit different. Let's try a little something different. Those. Yeah. So, just trying a little fly. Oh, nearly got wet. Up, 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 up. Oh my god. That's such a nightmare. Such a pavlova. Right, let's try this. Not quite as effective as the other float, but it's just nicer to fish with. Feels nicer to fish with anyway. So we're just literally just drifting it through. See if there's anything lurking out there. Anything lurking. Caught on something there. That's the other thing with this. You can just retrieve it slowly, and you're almost fishing just like this with this fly, this long streamer fly. I'll show you as it comes in. Not that I've caught anything on it, but you can just see the sort of, there it is behind it. Look. It's a very slow retrieve, like that. You just retrieve it. It's not with this float, it's not tangling so much, so that's really effective. Look at that, perfect. Let's hoss it out. Same sort of spot, which is not quite well wanted, but just rely on something sort of. That's the only thing I can think of, just being a little bit more sort of subtle with it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to... There's a float just there, look. What I'm going to do, I'm going to wade out there a bit later on. Once it gets a little bit shallower. I'm just going to fish the drop off, see if there's anything there. But it's a nice little bit of patch just there. Is this the trouble is, if you don't help it along, it's sort of the sand eel just it'll sit on the bottom, and then the line just keeps sort of try and sort of get it to fish as best you can. Really, the tide's easing off, so it's a nice little bit of. It's easy to go over here, and I've got a lot of stuff in my bag and everything, so I don't particularly want to spend the rest of the day wet. So I find it's just easy just to take your time. Right there, so that's not a bad little spot. And what we'll do, we'll just sort of, so the fly will sink, and You just help it through a little bit and then you can let it rest. A few little turns. And you just eye it up with some kelp on the bottom, just see if it's drifting or not, and it's drifting ever so slowly, which points towards that sand eel. It's just on the bottom there. That is moving though. Just going to help it a little bit. A couple of little turns won't do it any harm. It's drifting along the bottom there. So it's gone under. Actually quite impressed with that. Another one above it there. Doing this all through again. It's got tangled. Too bad though. And that one's just one like that. Do we just want to get ourselves in a better position, really, like that ledge there. The wind's over our shoulders, you see, so as we walk out we can fish these channels in here, see if there's one kicking about in there. And try anyway, there's no harm in try. If you don't try you won't get. It's just that really what we do in this, when the water temperature is a lot warmer and the fish are a lot more aggressive and there's more of them, really we're just sort of taking advantage of these clear conditions, because it don't usually come this clear. But bass fishing really is, it's trial and error. This is not really the right rod to be using on these rocks either, because if you do slip over, they're not, you don't want to be breaking one of these because they're quite pricey. So yeah, it's like but each time you go, I find each time you go, even when it's like sessions like this and it's a bit of a struggle, you can see something or you learn something. You try a different technique. I mean, I struggle with changing rigs when I'm fishing and I've got a limited window. One of my sort of nemesis is sort of changing rigs without dropping things and getting sand on the reel and things like that. I'm trying to think of ways how else I could do that a bit better. I think if you've got a little rod rest or something, you can just poke in the sand. You've got somewhere you can actually put your rod upright in an upright position, and then you ain't got to put it down. Or see this deeper, this ledge here. See the tide's coming this way. Where my rod tip's going, it's going this way over this sort of ledge. And that side is where you'd half expect some bass to be feeding. So we're just going to slowly make our way out there without disappearing down the bloody. Make sure I've got all my car keys and everything. And oh. Chalk's not too bad, but some of these stones are fucking, I'm trying to get too deep. It's actually quite deep here. Let's see if we can go up a bit. A bit shallower, that's better. That's better, he says. I don't know what to call this video. I call it sort of fly fishing, cold water fly fishing. See, really we want to be fishing back areas. There's a little island. If I can get to that thing there without getting rain, but we're getting quite deep here. Ooh, and that's deceiving because it comes up and down. If I can stand on that thing there, we can start fishing. Oh, I've nearly gone over. Deep hole here. We get a bootful, don't we? It's deceiving how deep these little areas are, really, because it's we just got to go for it, I think. Right, we're getting there. It was quite touch and go, that was. See, when you get indoors and you watch these videos and you look back and you think, at the time you think, "Christ, I nearly got my bollocks wet then." But when you're in your house and that, you look at it, you think, "Oh, what was he worrying about? What was he worrying about?" So these are very uneven stones and slippery. So even though it looks shallow and stuff, it's very, very slippery. So we just got to try and we're going to drift it back through here and see if we can get one like this. I've got nothing to lose. So we literally sort of lob it out. Oh dear, that's gone straight into that fucking bit of kelp there. Let's start again. That's pissing me off. So if you're not happy with something, you just wind in and just redo it. That's it. Something like that. Try that. I've got to try and work out how to do this. So we've got to try and sort of trot it back. And maybe just sort of give it a few turns like this. So now I'm in touch with it. So I can point the rod at it like that and it drifts back, and then I'm just want to do a few return like that, and then maybe just let it sort of sink again. Mono might be better here. I'm not sure how because the braid can sometimes sink and it can then catch, as where the mono is more likely to sort of just to drift back. My only concern with this gear is that lead on that fly, on the eyes of the sand hill, that goes straight to the bottom, and that sort of just, I'd rather it not have that and just be sort of swaying on its own accord, so to speak. The top fly is doing that, but if you notice, we're not actually, the tie's easing off, we're not actually covering that much ground. All I can do is just keep casting it in different areas and just slowly retrieve it, knowing that the sand here, when you stop retrieving it, that it just flutters down to the bottom. I just get the impression that I'm not going to get one on a spinner today because it's just so clear and the water's quite cold still. But they might just take something like this. It just feels like that. I'm just trying to lob it right at the back, a bit further back there like that. Let it sink a bit. And sort of a few little turns, see the float again. So the float's keeping the line above the bottom, and then we're just slowly retrieving it back and letting the fly sort of sink down again. So we're going against the current, a few little turns, float stays on the surface, and then the flies are sinking down again. So it's just really, we're just relying on a bass coming into the area and just seeing this sort of rise and fall of these two fly lures. And it's enough for him to be in the mood and to strike. And we'll just leave it there like that. And we'll quickly wind it back. There they are. I'm going to try and zip it at a different angle. got a slightly different area there. I'll let it sort itself out over there for a bit, and then yeah, through little turns you just see the float just starting to move a bit. There you are, moved there as well. So as I stop retrieving, those two eyes on that sand here, that just sinks to the bottom, and that just brings the other fly down with it as well. So if there is a bass there, I just feel that the speed of the spinner, they're not as sort of responsive to that. I just feel they're not, it's just too cold. The water's just too cold for them. They're there. There's a few bass there, and they're good fish as well, but it's just what is going to do it. What is going to do it? The fish have got to be in front of you. I think we're fishing effectively. Let's wind that in here. See how it behaves. So we just drop it down here. Look, so I'll drop it down in there. See how it sinks down. You can certainly see the little fly, and there's the float there. I'll just bring it up a bit. Oh, hello. Look at that, look, hefted already. That's it, that's out. Marvellous. Right, we're just gonna lob it down this side. Try it in there. See, it's a lot slower. This technique's a lot slower for the bass as well. I think there's a lot of tide, and they're hugging into the bank. They're hugging in as they're coming against the current. A spinner is just a bit too quick. Those paddle tail things, those OSP do live stick things, they could work. But I think see, like this, I've got two lures on. See, look, you can see it behind. So I'm actually sort of spin fishing now, look. Do you know what I'm saying? I've got two on, look. I could just cast and retrieve it. Oh, Christ. That was not good. That went pinging round there. There's no harm in just... What I want to do, I want to try and... I'm just going to persevere with this spot, I think, in a minute. See, with the wind behind me, I can just sort of... That's it. I can 1, 2, 3, 4. Let it sink back down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just relying on a bass just turning up, doing its thing, and I'm doing this right alongside him. It's as simple as that. I can't see him. If I see some, I'll obviously point. I'll do it towards, but so we've tried two different techniques today. We've tried the spinner at the right time of tide, trying to sort of do it how we normally do it, and we've run into problems because it's so clear and the fish just aren't there. And then now we've got to this stage where it's a lot shallower, and I've got the wind right in my face now, and the spinner, I don't feel confident. So now you can fall back to a different technique just to sort of... But I'm now feeling I need to leave this spot and fish a bit further out, up there. I'm looking for dark shadows, anything, a sudden flash of where a good bass is lurking. That's what we'll do. Oh, that wind is cold. That wind is fucking freezing. Absolutely blummin' freezing. Freezing. So be careful. It's not worth falling over and doing yourself in for, because there's always another fishing session. So it's still ebbing away. The tide's coming across. Oh, it's bloody cold. That wind is bitterly cold, but it's still clear. Oh, bloody hell. I'm just going to go up here carefully. Jesus, he says. Yeah, a bit careful. So I've just got to get past this bit here. I don't think I can get on there. Oh Christ, there's nearly me gone. It's so uneven, this chalk. Maybe I should just cast over it. I don't know. That area behind it, look. I want to try and get there if I can. Without getting wet. There's deeper holes here, so I'm just standing up high here. How deep that one is in there, look. I've just fished that one. Yeah, still a little bit too deep. I'm just going to have to make do with what I can do. I can probably fish over the back of it. Let's try that, shall we? Aim that up high. Yeah, I'll fish over the back of it like that. You see, there's a will, there's a way. And I'm just going to retrieve it ever so slowly back. Ever so slowly. So you retrieve it, the sand eels come up, and then they sink back down again when I stop. So I'm not looking to move it too far. The float is sort of keeping it up. So it's just doing this fluttering action. We're just relying on a bass to be floating around in the area there. And he sees it. He should see it from quite a distance, something like these days. They've got so much tinsel in them and stuff like that, and the sun's on it. Even if the bass was a good few metres away either side, he's definitely going to see it. He might even, you know. So we're now coming up to that sort of drop-off bit there. It looks quite deep. And we're just going to see if that'll trot back a bit. In there. It's on braid, so you know, even if the float disappears, you should feel if it's tug like a fish, especially when it's straight to a fly. There's 10 pound fluorocarbon predator leader there, what you can use for zander and stuff like that, so you can't see that, but it's got good sort of abrasion resistance. So if the fly, I get the impression it will take them right down deep. So we're just off that sort of little ledge there. It's almost like we're float fishing now. And we're just sort of, if a bass is there, there's a top fly he should see, and obviously there's the sand eel, the longer sand eel down there as well. So you just never know. You just got to sort of. Now we're going to try and get the gear back. So wind it in fast. See, it just shoots over the top. You see, lovely. It feels like I'm fishing with a realistic chance. So what I want to do again, I want to aim it high and maybe sort of go to a bit more of a little bit further to the side that time. That's all right. So the current's going that way over the fly. So my line and the float is just keeping it there. So it's probably with the current, although it's easing off a bit, it just brings it up a little bit. but just a very slow retrieve back and leaving it. It's quite a relaxing way to fish as well. But we're relying on fish coming in the area. So I'm trying new different spots. We're trying fish, bass being looking around in the areas where with the spinner we're almost going to it. We're casting in lots of different places. But because the water's colder and because there's not so many fish about, I just feel that it's going to be a more of a slower sort of technique. Yeah, it's quite interesting, this style. Loving this fly at the back. It's brilliant. It's not too sort of intense. It's just. They've got the little fly as well above it. Look at this. Top one. And then you've got this one here. Weighted. It's weighted, so you just sort of float there. I made a bit of a hash of that actually. Actually got the bead the wrong way round. That was good, wasn't it? Clever of me. That was clever of me. Too much difference. Oh. It's been quite a nice day. It feels like a needle in a haystack at the minute. That's what it feels like. And I think you just got to go on your gut, and if you've given it a go, you can't really do much more. You know, yes, I can wade all the way out here and do what I sort of do. Fucking hell. I don't know. screw on, it's so bloody cold. This area here looks fishy, doesn't it? So I should, only got £8 trace on there. I'm just relying on the bass just to get lip hooked or something. Then we'll be alright. Quite good, doesn't it? Looks quite good. Got a good rattle this one has. This is the little cedra, this is. I've actually not fished a lot with it because I fish with the bigger one. But this one has got a really nice rattle on it, and I just... It's those little sort of... Not so much just in here. No reason why you couldn't, just in here, but... It's me, these deep, see those deepest little channels out there? That's where you would expect something to be lurking. Now I've got metals and things, but that's doing it is to give it a bit of a go. It's just not a lot of fish about at the minute. That's all I put it down to. Spinner on. I could do. This is. I'm just shit scared of snagging up if I put my little spinner on. That's all. When it's like this. I just feel it's a bit early to be bloody on the surface though, with the water being cold. But how else do you fish it, other than how you had sort of been doing it? It's making a funny noise now. Metal spinner's the only thing I can think of. Metal spinner. Day with Chinook. Day with Chinook. So evening session now, just Bit of weed just caught in there. So that's a look at a few bumps and bangs, but I sometimes think when that's clear, that's better to have a slightly sort of darker lure, so with its paint removed. So we're just casting out there on sand in front of a load of rock, chalk. So it's about, let's get this right. Yeah, I'd say we're sort of a couple of hours before high. So I don't really know. I know there's a lot of weed up there, so we're just, it's okay to fish at range here, I feel. Winded up fairly quickly anyway, but he's waded out well far back. Must be fly fishing, that guy over there. I just have my standard waders on, which can fill over, water over the top, so we're not going to attempt that. It's very shallow out here, really, I must say. That's why the lure's sort of doing that, so I'm not really, if there's anything snooting about, I'm expecting it to be a bit further out, so that's why I'm just sort of pelting it. Just lobbing it high, trying to get that initial good bit of distance there. So where it's sploshed, I would say it's probably a good 6 foot there. 5 or 6 foot, which is plenty deep enough. So as long as we're fishing the first sort of bit, then I'm a happy man. I'm just waiting to see if there's a bass that's going to see the lure's spinning around, so the tide's coming in, so it's coming from this way, it's coming from that way, this way. So I generally only fish the 2 hours on the way up. You can get there any time, but it's how much time you want to spend at it. If you're keen, just keep going and going. But I find most bites come about 2.5 hours before high, and maybe over the slack period. If you've got baits on, then that's okay to fish baits throughout it, but lure fishing over the slack for me isn't really that great. When the tide turns, for half an hour it's worth fishing. That's my opinion. That's when I've had the fish. That's when I've had fish. So, and the ebb's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. Do get the odd fish just turn up in, midway through a tide. There's a bit of surf running, but right now it's all a bit of a mystery because the water's still quite cold. The fish are here, but there's not many of them. But it's a reflection of their food, I think. There's no sand eels here. There's a few hardback crabs floating around. But there is a lot of flatfish, there's a lot of small dabs. And when I've caught bass in October, they've been full of dabs. So I'm wondering if they do hunt for flatfish. There's pouting and whiting here as well. Got some horrible weed there. So that's the... See, there's nothing there yet. It's almost like you could wait for 10 minutes really, and then give it another go, what I've just done. No need to exhaust yourself. Spend excessive amounts of time doing it. But when it's clear like this, they could be offshore feeding. Don't know. Get the old rogue one just like coming through, snooting about. Usually you see something. Usually you see one, or you get a splash, or you see them feeding or something, and you're like, ah, they're here, But there's not some tides I've been on where you just can't go wrong. There's just a hell of a lot of fish about, and you just can't do anything wrong, and you're just hooking up. But a lot of my sessions with lures, you either just get one or you blank. It's as simple as that, and that's the painful truth of it, I'm afraid. Painful truth. If you're fishing and you're not moving much from a spot, I mean, I would have moved a bit further down, but there's a bloke there fishing now, so I've got my lazy hat on. But these stones have all got covered. Look, so quickly these have got covered. Look behind me. That's incredible. Now I've got a do-live stick which will mitigate what I'm just doing there, pulling this weed off. So I've got that to try, because there's nothing worse than you constantly sort of, but part of me is saying that's nice to have this sort of lure on. Just straight retrieve, nothing more. Straight retrieve. See, these are the back end of the big tides. Now for me, the bass, they get hungry in the big tides. They hug the shoreline because of the big tides, because they're trying to conserve energy. So there's no reason, and you know, they're moving around. So it's luck. There's another bloke turned up there. Look, must be a lot of local anglers when it comes clear like this. Just keep it working. It's not as big a tide as it was yesterday. If the water was mucky, I bet it'd all be baits. No, we wouldn't be messing around with this. But because it's come clear, but it just points towards how hard it is. Still. Do any good. The old lures. Fish have got to be there in front of you. It's nothing more than that. Just waiting for one of these waves just to go right on my bloody, down my trouser leg. You just need a bit of luck. Just that big rogue fish. Just, I've got anglers either side of me, so that could quite easily be them. But another positive thing about when there's other anglers around you, you do get to see if anything else has been caught. Facebook is really good because you can see what's coming out, how much is coming out. I mean, there's a hell of a lot of anglers in the UK, and you can get a rough idea. I mean, even if they don't name the venue, you can see where they are on the beach, and you can have a guess at what sort of beach it is by the shingle, or if you know your patch, if you know your area. So there's a hell of a lot of useful information, even if no one don't want to speak up too much. A lot of people make mistakes when they do photographs. They sort of give it away where it is. So like I say, if one of these guys catches one, then you know. All I know is off the top of my head right now, what I can see, the water's cold. There's not many fish about. There'll be one or two good ones around. I'm a bit cautious on what they're actually feeding on. I think they're actually feeding on flatfish. There's not many natural food around. I don't think, not in massive numbers. There's a few hardbacks around and things, but I'm not drifting a fake crab on the bottom or nothing like that. Can't be bothered. I'm just going to stick to what there's some small little sand eels around. There's just not a lot of fish around. That's just nice though when you're doing this kind of fishing, when you get a surprise. You're not expecting one and then all of a sudden, boom. You know, you get that first sort of one on a lure. It's a nice sort of feeling. But we'll try this angle up here. So that is going with the current. I think the lure works a bit better when you're going against the current, like casting at that quadrant there. So if it's 12 o'clock right out in front, I call that about 10. I find that's the best action with the lure. You just need a, if something's coming along in the tide. He's walking down now. So I hope he doesn't get too close, but I suppose he's limited about where you can actually fish. I don't really care, to be quite honest.